It's Tuesday night. It's 7:00, and that means it's That's Cool Drink Night, you guys. Tonight's going to be an awesome one. I've got Matt Moore on. He is the owner of Moore Race Chassis, and also known kind of before that world as the dude he and his co-pilot camped on Drag Week in 2016 out of a 4th Gen Camaro. So this dude kind of lives and breathes and eats this stuff. Got involved with Rocky Mountain RaceWeek. He's the dude that did the first 4-second pass in Rowdy Radial at Rocky Mountain RaceWeek. Did that at Pueblo, Colorado. Real life altitude of 5,600, 5,500 feet. Density altitudes, well into way into high 4 digits. So he did that with his shop car, his 4-ride Fox Mustang. It's a single turbo LS deal that he put a little 26 850 tire on, and came out and did a little bit of goodness. So Ryan Morris, what's going down? Danny Bemis is on. I actually had a good conversation with Danny Bemis a couple of days ago. Stevie and Neil are on as well. So thanks to everyone for showing up and doing the thing. Tonight's going to be awesome. And of course, if you have not heard, Moore Race Chassis is the dude that built the brand new Snot Rocket, the new 3.0 car. And that thing has been out on an absolute terror already, and it's not even started. Kind of doing a lot of work out there. So going to be very, very cool to kind of hear the in and outs of Moore Race Chassis stuff. Also, what's cool, he'll do a bunch of mail order type chassis stuff. He came out with this year the core chassis, which is for guys that only want to do 850 chassis on their stuff. Will never make a larger an upgrade. Will never make a faster ride. He's got those core chassis out. They're under $2,000 for a chromoly chassis. So we're going to talk about all of that stuff. But I want to get into the meat and potatoes of Mr. Matt Moore. So it's going to be cool. Tonight again is going to be super duper awesome. I've got coming up next week the Christmas tree drags. This week is PRI. Stevie and I will be at PRI as well, but Christmas tree drags next week. Later in January, I will be at Sick Week, and I think that Matt Moore is going to be at Sick Week, and we'll talk to him about it. And I think he's going to be running a quarter mile with that 4-ride Fox Mustang. So it's going to be an absolutely awesome time. It's going to be a really, really good show. Everybody buckle up. Episode number 59. We are getting ready to take off. And it's Mr. Matt Moore from Moore Race Chassis. Here we go. Live from Missouri, 8:00 Central Time. We had to double check that a couple hours ago. That's pretty standard for those of you not in the Mountain Time Zone. But dude, Matt, thanks for joining us here.
Oh yeah,
That's Cool Drink. Lucky number 59 episode here, and yeah, dude, it's a pleasure to have you on. Multi-time Rowdy Radial type winner, dude, and then again the first 4-second on a RaceWeek or Rocky Mountain RaceWeek pass with that shop car. And yeah, like you're sort of a force to be reckoned with in the drag and drive world in one way or another, either on purpose or on accident. So thanks for being on, dude.
Yeah, no problem. I appreciate it. It's always good talking to you. I think I enjoy that the most. Going to races, I'm like, who is that? I'm going to be there.
Yeah, no, exactly. We've had some time where we just like, hey, let's sit underneath your canopy and watch it rain and just talk. And one of the things I didn't go over, if you feel like it, you can do some cussing. That's fine here on That's Cool Drink. So we can talk shit. It's all good, but yeah, dude, it's always good talking with you and just seeing kind of what you got going on. I know you got a little bit in the local track that you've been doing over there, Bon Terre, right? Is that what it's called?
Yeah. Bon Terre.
You've been helping them with some of their stuff, and yeah, dude, tell us about what you got going on and kind of what's going on with your world and with Moore Race Chassis, and just kind of catch us all up.
Yeah, so this year's been pretty busy for us. We moved into our new shop last September. So that was that's a big transition because if you guys haven't followed us, I started just out of my dad's 2-car garage, kind of transformed into went to college and I was able to work on the car there a little bit. There's a lot more background to that, but it started actually the picture that's in the background there is in my home shop now.
Okay.
It was just 3,000 square foot. It wasn't huge. Started out even smaller than that, and then we expanded that, and then about a year and a half later, moved into our 6,000 square foot shop now, and then we're kind of in the process of shopping for more space.
I was gonna say you already outgrew that, and
Yeah,
and here we are.
we've grown 20-30% every year, so it's a good problem to have. It's just a lot to keep up with.
Oh no, totally, dude. Exactly.
It's a lot. So, and finding good fabricators and good help is, that's a challenge for everyone. But
yeah,
kind of why we took the middle of the year off. We were just so busy. I couldn't even keep up. And then we got Brett's car and a couple buddies racing. And I was like, I'm just going to take this year off. We'll freshen the motor and we'll get ready for sick week.
Going into chassis shop stuff, how many employees do you have right now, and talk to us? I mean, so if you guys don't know, he does pre-bent, pre-done cage kits, pretty much down to whatever you want for a ton of different chassis. The real popular type stuff: Fox Mustangs, SF95s, et cetera, et cetera. Getting into the Nova world a little bit, the G-body stuff a little bit. But yeah, these are well-fitting, notched in some cases. You can pretty much, if you've got a TIG welder and you can unga bunga a couple of bars, you can build. I mean, a 25-1. You sell a 25-1 kit.
Yeah. We're trying to make I don't want to get into just one niche of a car. I don't want it to be like a certain year, certain this. So we're trying to get expansion of the whole line. It'll be, I want 850 to 25-1 for, I see John coming.
Yeah.
Nova Cage. He's actually tested out on Nova Cage because we just released those. So we're working through those right now. It's 850, and then it'll be, 25.5, 25.3, 25.2, and 25.1. So when we go into a car, it's a deep dive into it. I don't want to be just, special, 1 year off. And it's just the main popular ones and go into those. So we'll like to get more into the whole front suspension, basically have a whole package. We do that a little bit now, but it's mainly just chassis. But I like to have, drag and drive the whole kit for it. And so,
yeah, exactly. And you've got, I know you've got dealers and dealer/installers kind of all over. I didn't know that until Sick Week. And I was able to hang out with the McLean Motorsports guys. And I was walking through their shop, and there's a pallet with a bunch of bars on it. And I'm like, well, I've got to see who. And there it says more race chassis on it. I'm like, holy crap, dude. And like those dudes, you've had a lot of those type of dudes that help you with your process.
Yeah, we're trying to get installers that not just resellers. It's a installer basis where you're installing the kit, you kind of know a little bit about our kits, and kind of push that a little bit more than just having say you're just basically just reselling. We want to work with installers that know our product and know how it's going to fit, and then they can work with us closely, make changes or however it need to be. But we want them installing it, help them make a little bit of money on it, and then it's kind of a win-win.
Yeah, exactly. They make their labor money. They can make a little bit of money on the cage kit, but you know they do quality work. You don't have any hesitations putting your name on their basically on their work. And you've got that kind of camaraderie, if you will.
Exactly.
Yeah, dude. And Brian is one of the McLean Motorsports dudes. He's got the Social Security. I think it's an LTD or a Grand Marquis. It's got the light bar on the top.
Oh,
and the light bar flew off of the top of it.
I know which one that is.
Some race, and so he lag bolted the thing into the roof. There's a sticker on the back that says "Quit laughing and help push." Yeah, the Social Security car is a bad ride, and he bent it up a little bit at the Mod Nationals, but
nice.
But yeah,
I've seen that car. Yeah.
Hell yes. Ed Hohenberg's asking, I don't even know what a 68 Epic is. He's from Canada.
We get yeah, those guys north of the border.
They've got exactly. Some Acadian. Do you have an Acadian kit?
We get all kinds of questions.
I bet you do. Why don't you make a 68 to 72 C20 kit? God, what are you guys even thinking about?
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's probably the hardest part for us is making kit. Like obviously we want to make kits for everyone, but we have a pretty in-depth process of like now we're working with 3D scanners, so it's like we scan the car and then I'll go in and draw it in CAD, and then I'll even fit pieces in. If it needs to make sure drive shaft fits or make sure housing fits and stuff like that for our back half. And it's a lot of time. Like it's a time commitment. Then just the back end of it, like once we get the cage done, then it's making instruction sheets. We have to make cut lists, bend lists for all the guys in the shop that that produce them. I mean, we have to have checklists, and it's a pretty involved process just to get it to your door. It's not just we send instructions, and they're pretty detailed instructions, so it's involved.
Absolutely, and of course, kind of always innovating and trying to do something new, something cool. You came out with the core kits recently, the under $2,000 850 kits, and again, those are guys that don't ever want to go quicker than 850. A lot of the other kits you can add bars to make them a 25.5 or a greater cert with your base kit, but not the core kit is 850. That's it.
Yeah, well, it's 750.
Oh, it's a 750.
25.5.
So it is a 25.5. Okay, all right.
Yeah, so we kind of got the idea because we have a lot of customers that they'll put in an 850, and then 2 years down the road, they're like, well, I don't want to cut the car up. I don't want to buy another car. So they already have the plates on the floor. So it's like, okay, well, what do you do then? Because either, before, we never really did it before because our local inspector wanted bars under the plates to like the inner frame rail. So it was kind of a like, what do? You can't have bars under the plates. It just looks kind of weird. So
right.
And then we got talking with him more and reading through the SFI books. And it's like, well, no, we can do this. We can have bars above the plate that go through the floor to the inner frame rails, and we were able to find a way. So we made, it's probably been 2 or 3 months now since we've had those out, and we had just our Black Friday sale, so we sold a good amount of them then. So we're starting to get like, we have a couple guys that we work with installing like the first few kits, because obviously when we put something in, it's a lot different than someone else putting it in.
Yeah, a guy in their shop at home.
Yeah, we do this all the time. Yeah, we do it all the time. We're not to brag, but we're good at it. So it's different to have someone else at home that doesn't do it all the time install it. Like John, he's the one that kind of test fit our 850 Nova kit, and he doesn't do chassis stuff all the time. So it's nice to hear his how he would prefer stuff to be done and fit. So it's pretty cool.
And as a dude with some 4th gen blood, Aaron Schaefer's asking about the 4th gen 98202 core kit.
That one's coming. That one's I kind of already worked on it. If you actually go on the website and look at the stock suspension 25.3 kit that we have, that'll basically be what that kit is. It just hasn't morphed into that yet. I'm actually currently working on S10 like 25.3 to 25.1 kits right now. We're a lot of requests for those, so I'm doing the whole back half and front half for those. So that's what I've been working on.
S10s are great. I mean, it's what a cool chassis.
I think that was our number one seller for this Black Friday was S10 kits. So
hell yeah.
Yeah, big market for them.
Richard is Dirty Panda. You've probably seen him around on some stuff.
Yeah.
And he's pretty close to you. So
nice. An hour away.
It's the best chassis shop ever, says McLean Motorsports. Brian got wrestled their cage and got them out of bed. They're probably crawling into bed right now. 9:15. They're in Florida, getting ready to do more work tomorrow. McLean's awesome, and you guys just got a little shout out here on that.
Yeah, exactly. We try to be. We try to be the different shop. It's a challenge being we have our in-house build section, like our custom side, and we have the cage kit. So it's definitely interesting because it's it's just two sides that normally are split. They're not together.
Right.
So it's just kind of a different different environment. Like I got 7 employees now. We actually,
Hell yeah.
I spend a little bit more time in the office than I would like to, but it's part of the job, I guess. So it's me, and I have 2 office girls. I got Taylor. I know McLean probably knows who Taylor is, and Addie in the office. So
cool.
It takes more of a support staff when you have an online, retail side. So it's a little different.
What brought it? I mean, you were a race chassis shop, right? Like that was your thing. You were manufacturing, race cars, and what kind of got into your head that, like, what we should do is mail metal across the world.
Doesn't that sound horrible?
Yeah, I mean, really it is. But like, yeah, what brings you from like here to like, dude, like we're gonna mail metal around the world that are bent and cut. Like, what was that transition like?
So it actually goes back when I got back in high school. I got that red Camaro that I don't know some have saw. Yeah, there you go. So I got that car back in, I think I was a senior in high school. I got it as a roller for like a graduation gift. That was my kind of my project. Right. So I got that, and I had I forget what the company was that I installed. I put a cage kit in, and it was a notched kit. And I want to say it was like Wolf Racing. I think that was some of the guys might know who that is. They had a pretty big online presence of cage kits. Well,
yeah, Wolf Racecraft, I think it's WOLFE.
So it was a pretty good kit. I mean, I MIG welded together because I didn't have a TIG welder. That was back in high school. So that's kind of got the seed planted, because I was like, man, this is cool. This is I can put this into my garage. I don't have to take it anywhere, because I was one of those guys where I didn't have the money to go take it and get a cage done. I priced out shops, I called shops, and I was like, I don't have the money for this. I'm in high school and working part-time.
And then it was cheap, and it was $40 an hour. And, now it's like no one will even touch your stuff for less than $100 an hour.
So I was like, okay, well, I can't do this. So I'm going to go buy this kit and put it in. So then fast forward to, now, when we were, a few years ago, we were like, hey, where's Wolf Racecraft? Like, what are they doing now? And it got brought up that they're not in business anymore. I was like, well, man, that kind of sucks, because there's not a lot of cage kit companies, and the ones that do it they don't do it great. They fit kind of bad, and I'm not going to talk down to any of them, but they're just not.
Well, like I'll just say, like, I got an S&W kit for my Monza.
Yeah,
terrible. I mean, terrible. And
you just want tubes in it. It's fine.
and that was exactly it. Like, it had tubes in it, and it passed tech. But holy cow, dude! Like, we fought that thing, and I'm not a fabricator at all. I can't do this stuff. Like, thankfully, I've got friends that can.
Yeah.
But no, dude, it was like, and it was cheap, but it was cheap.
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, that was and that's kind of what was the beginning of me learning that doing it twice cheap isn't less money than doing it once right.
Exactly. Yeah, that's how we kind of got the start in it, when we were doing, it was actually Mark was working for us, and that's kind of when we got the start. We started with like the S10s, and I don't even think we had a website when we first started doing them. It was just Facebook, Facebook groups, finding who would put one in, and it just it's spiraled into what you see today, and it's been a long road.
Hell yeah.
So that's
you're still doing race car fab stuff.
Yeah,
that's still a thing.
Yeah, we have 2 to 3 cars at a time. We try, and I told the guys that'd be something we never really give up, because building cars is kind of that's kind of our thing. That's where we started. That's what we want to keep doing.
Right.
But the cage kits is cool because it lets us kind of explore different markets and try out different stuff and build and get it to people that can't take it to a chassis shop, and make it a little bit more affordable for those guys.
I gotta know, what's the coolest car you've had come through the shop?
So it's either, Brett's is cool just because of who Brett's is cool because of just who he is and hanging out with him. We do have a Chrysler 300 in there right now.
Okay.
It was very challenging on the design portion because it's a 120-inch wheelbase car, so it was a challenge. It's still a challenge.
Right. Is like a new school 300? Like,
yeah, oh yeah, it's I don't remember what year it is, but yeah, think about Chrysler, the newer.
yeah,
the
06
Chrysler.
or
Yeah, I think
whatever,
it might be
something
at
like
06.
that.
But man, it was a challenge. It's still hard. We're doing tin work on it right now, and it's just a lot. I mean, there's just a lot of tubes. It's if you ever seen like an old pro stock truck, it's got that offset bar to set the 4-link bars at the right length, and it's it's been a challenge. But I would say I think Brett's car was cool just because of the timeline, and then immediately getting out and racing, because a lot
right.
it's not horrible to say, but a lot of guys, it takes them 2-3 years to get a car built, get it together if they're doing it themselves. And I mean, it just takes time. I mean, it took us 2 years to build the shop car. So,
and Brett's car was one that happened under wraps. Like I heard from Doug, I don't even know, like 2 weeks prior to FL2K, he's like, that car's done. Like, we're testing that car. And I was like, what? Like, no one knew that car was even done, let alone driving, running.
Yeah.
And it had 3 passes on it or 6 passes on it when I was talking to Doug. But, like, then it was, I don't even know, dude, 2 or 3 days later, it was just, oh, guess what? Not only is this car happening, like, it's done.
Yeah. Like, yeah, it was a quick time. I think we talked like end of May, I believe. And then we got started like the first week of June. So it originally started, he called and was like, hey, do you have an S197 cage kit? I was like, well, yeah, like it's one of our more popular ones. And then it like progressed. He's like, man, well, what about a welded chassis? I was like, well, I mean, we can do that too. Like, how much further do you want to go with it? And it kept progressing and progressing and progressing. And he's like, hey, I think we're just going to come up and do the turbo kit and, and all this and basically have it ready to go. He busted his ass after he got it back, but it was cool. It was cool just to work with him because, they have a really good racing program already. So
and that was he took all the drivetrain out of 2.0. He literally just stuffed all a running, already known combo like bunk into a new chassis.
Exactly.
So, that part was
that's
easy.
The coolest part. Yeah, that's the coolest part for us because I mean it was a trick. So there's not, it wasn't like a whole new car, new motor, new turbos, new everything. It was basically just chassis changes. So it was really cool for us. Like I could try things that I wanted to try and like design changes I wanted to try and actually see it quickly. When if we do that with a customer car that's it waits a year or two to race, what kind of we're multiple revisions past that on what we're going to try.
Real life A to B. Like
exactly. I always kind of equate it to like dirt track racing. They're out racing every week. They can make changes and it's they know about those quick changes. Well, drag racing, it's you might race 6 times a year, so you don't really unless you're class racing, and even those guys they race 6 to 8 times a year at big races. So it's just hard to see those changes, and that's what I wanted to focus on. 6
to 8 times is if they're racing a lot, especially with a fast car, like something that something goes bad in one of those cars, it's $50,000.
Oh yeah.
I mean, to get it back on, and there's not a lot of dudes with 50,000 just ready to write a check to Fast Forward Race Engines for a new motor or whatever.
Exactly.
So, I mean, 6 to 8 times when you really distill it down, like you look at those dudes that run no prep Kings or no prep Elite or whatever they call it now, like those dudes have, and we just saw it this last weekend, mid 3-second cars. And they have to have them up every weekend, or every other weekend or whatever. And that stuff, and they got to tow them from place to place to place to place to place.
Yeah.
And their shit just needs to run. Like that's pretty damn impressive when you start boiling it down. And again, like you said, like a guy that races 6 or 8 times a year does a lot, and that's still not quite enough to get a good A to B.
Exactly. The data is what we're after. I want to know the changes. I'm sure the big pro mod builders, they have what they like and what they don't like, but I think there's another level to it out there. It's not there yet. I think there's changes to be made in chassis that can improve them. So we'll see.
That's a perfect example. I mean, we'll see, but we're going to see I mean, almost real time.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because especially, you know, sick week coming up, you know how quick it was at last year's sick week with the old chassis. Now with the new more chassis, you're going to have like, I mean, it's not exactly apples to apples because it's a year removed and you know, air is different or whatnot. But if it's 0.3 faster at this level, that's a really big deal. I mean, you know, I mean, anyone that knows anything about drag racing, if you pick up a tenth or two, you've done a lot.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Especially, I mean, you got to think about what that car is like capable of too. Like, it's other than, I think you didn't have the alternator on it for, you know, FL2K and World Cup, but like, it's really all it needs to go drive like 1,000 miles. Like, I mean, there's a few changes in there, but it's not like he's bolting on tons of stuff. It's like the radiator's in it, the intercooler's in it. It's ready to go. So that was I mean, you're racing pro mods like World Cup and in a street car.
Oh so yeah, and he's told me straight up on camera and off camera that the goal was to run a 5-second pass in competition with that car. And man, what a day in his world and your world and everyone that's got a piece of that puzzle's world. If and when that day comes, that's gonna be pretty damn amazing.
Oh yeah, it'll be cool, and I think it's way doable. I think it'll be there this year.
Hell yeah.
So it'll be cool.
And you've worked with Brett now.
Yep.
If you guys don't know Brett LaSala, where have you been? So you've worked with him. You've worked with Motion on their giveaway truck, the OBS truck. You know, so that's that deal right there. So yeah, dude, you've done some stuff with some like higher profile dudes now, and your name is now becoming synonymous with a bunch of this stuff. What's that like for like a dude from Missouri that, you know, all of a sudden you see yourself in, you know, arguably the most, you know, like the most popular dude in the world, and here he is pushing the truck that you built down the highway because it didn't have an alternator.
It's pretty cool. I gotta give all the guys at Motion a big shout out. I've known Doug since I met him at actually that picture you posted of the hammocks. That's an old picture too. There you go. So that was that was a long, I mean, I think that was a long time ago too. Yeah, there you go. That's 2016. That was my first drag and drive. That was drag week, and that was, I think I want to say a sophomore or junior, and sophomore or junior in college. And that was all the money we had to make it there.
Right. And you were camping the whole time. And
so I made these stands that held our hammocks. So we would just, instead of, you know, at the end of the night driving to the hotel, we would just, like, we're parked. I think that's National Trail. That was the start and beginning track.
Right.
And we were able to, you know, just kind of
see the little hammock holders there. You drop the tires right on there. And
luckily the whole week it didn't rain, because that would have really sucked. So we had some tarps, but the whole week we basically just camped like that.
Let's start moving backward a little bit. So college, you did automotive type stuff in college as well, right?
Yeah. So I went to UCM for automotive technology. It's a 4-year program. It gets a little bit more in depth than just like a tech school. And I think I got really into racing, like hardcore racing. So most SAE groups run like a SAE formula car, like a Baja car, but we were able to run and kind of work with a local shop that he did sign work, but he also had a dirt track car on the side, and he had this old chassis, and he kind of linked up with the school and was like, hey, like, I'll build this car, you know, I'll fund a little bit of it to get started, but you guys need to work on it. Like, the kids need to work on it. So I learned a lot about like weekly racing maintenance, that type stuff. And it translated a lot to drag racing, kind of just the nitty gritty of it. Cause I stayed during the summer at school. So UCM's probably 2.5 hours from my house, where I was growing up. Okay. So I just stayed there during the summer. So it was me and another kid during the summer taking care of this car. So every week we go out race Saturday, and then, you know, get the car back Sunday, start tearing it down. And if you guys don't know anything about dirt track racing, it is grueling. It is a second time job. It's tough. We
Yeah, I mean, you're bouncing your car off other people's
Oh yeah.
stuff. There's,
I mean,
it's wheel to wheel, and there's a lot of, you race on Saturday, and then you spend the whole next week getting the car right for the next Saturday.
It's almost a full-time job. And we were able to actually go out with our car, and it was just a pretty basic car. Like it was not much money in this car. We had just a 602 crate motor. We actually went out and won the track championship. So it's kind of like a crowning moment, I guess.
Yeah, totally.
So,
dude. I mean, and it again, if you don't know, like that stuff's hard work, and
oh yeah,
doing it while you're doing college, like college ain't easy, and
yeah.
there's a lot kind of going on. But
I spent more time than I should have working on that car than doing actual school work. But
John Gilman says that dirt track racers work on their car 8 days a week.
Dude, it's for real. I mean, it was a struggle. But it taught me a lot about like weekly racing maintenance, like just doing the same thing every week, and kind of, got me where I like that. So like I like the maintenance. I like that, keeping a car going. And so it was a big learning experience. It was super cool.
What year are we talking here with, like, circa, is this 2000 roughly? 2000?
That was 2016, 2015. That
15?
Yeah, 2016 is when I did that Dragon Drive. So that would have been, okay. I think that was my junior year, I believe.
You're just such a young pup.
I know.
I always forget how young people are all the time. So
I know I'm getting older, so I feel it now. And when we hire new guys, and you look at, you're filling out all their paperwork and the driver's license, you're like, oh, when you were born, it's after 2001. I'm like, it kind of hurts. It hurts the soul a little bit.
Right. Like, oh God.
Yeah.
And you did the circle track stuff. I dug a little bit even further, and you're kind of involved with some like rock hopping type of stuff.
Oh, that was way back.
Some like Ultra 4.
Oh yeah, my dad was pretty big into off-road stuff, so we off-roaded a good amount. We would go wheeling it. That's actually Hannibal Rocks north of us. I don't know if they're still open or not, but it was just this big, I guess you would call it a quarry, but they had, bought it for personal use. And so they would have rock crawling and Ultra 4 type stuff. So I've kind of always been around cars. My dad wasn't like super into cars. I guess doesn't have that addiction that I have somehow, but he was always kind of like, we always did car stuff. We would go to like NHRA races and stuff. So that's where the start got out,
I was just gonna say, like, that's a great segue. Like, then where, like, here's a picture of you as like a 11-year-old.
There you go. Adam did
and you're at a racetrack.
So I've always been around it. I guess I don't realize how much I was, but then I look back and I'm like, man, we did a lot of car stuff. I was like, that's probably why I'm doing car stuff.
I loved that I put that up, and Marissa went, "Oh my God."
She's sitting right here listening.
She's like, "I've never even seen that. What the hell?"
I know.
So that basically is where it, like, your old man pretty much lit the fire, and you just took the torch and ran.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I like doing this stuff because it's got an engineering background to it, and I think I enjoy that part of it. I like the design, the changes, if you guys have ordered a cage kit and then ordered a cage kit like 2 years later, it's probably a little bit of a different cage kit. Like, we make these revisions as we go. Just when I find stuff I don't, either not that I don't like, but I just want to see changed, we'll make that change. And, obviously that kind of starts over the whole thing that I talked about earlier, instructions and all the, paperwork that goes on with it. And I'm sure go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I'm sure Taylor loves me in the office for that.
Well, I'm sure it's one of those things too, that you're such a small company that you can be a little bit nimble. So if someone's like, hey, this bar in this kit just sucks, dude. Like, can you do anything? I'm sure you just go back to the drawing board. Like, yes, we can do something, or no, that just is the way it is, and I'm sorry it sucks. Or yes, I can put this little like whoop in that bar.
Yeah.
And
it also
ship that out the next one.
And it really doesn't take us much to like edit a cage kit. Like we try not to, because it is time consuming and I have to do it. So it takes away from other stuff. But if we have someone that like, wants something a little bit changed, we can,
they don't,
yeah, there you go. Taylor's got it. So it's, we can make little changes here and there and make it, tailor it towards the customer. So we try and accommodate those guys that want to make those changes.
So let's back to so the red 4th gen is your high school car.
Yeah, I got it as a roller, and I kind of went through the whole decision process of like, what do I want to do with this car? I was like, okay, maybe I'll do like a 6-liter heads cam basic. And then, the snowball starts. So then you're like, man, I could turbo this and I could just put a stock bottom end in. So 2016, it had a stock 4.8 with like just stock heads, had an LS6 cam. And back in the day, like LS1 Tech was a big forum. And that's basically where I got my start reading all that stuff. And the LS6 cam was like the cam for a turbo.
That was the cam to have.
That was the cam to have. So it got that. I built the motor by myself, did the cage, pretty much did all the work because I couldn't. I mean, I think I even MIG welded the cold side together. How most people do aluminum. Mine was steel because that's all I could weld. I didn't know how to TIG weld back then. So that's where that car got its start. And I was able to drive it in college, did Rocky Mountain RaceWeek, and then, Drag Week. And it kind of sat after college because I was kind of started. That was when the wheels were turning for the business and was doing side work. And I tore it apart to make it faster and then never went back together.
as things happen, it just is what it is. How quick was that car?
I think it went 970, mid 970s, I think. So it was, it was still a stock computer. Like it wasn't on Holly or anything. It was just a stock GM computer. Had a turbo 400, and up until like the last year I ran it, had a stock 10 bolt. I think actually in those pictures it was a stock 10 bolt. Wow. So yeah, and I think it went a 126 60 foot with the stock rear shocks and a 10 bolt. So
yeah,
maybe I had some suspension and stuff back there. I don't know. It worked.
Those are the teeny 10 bolts too. Those are the 7.5 inch or 7 5/8 10 bolts.
Yeah, those
the
are tiny.
8.5 inch 10 bolts were like, mediocre in a lot of those cars, but then they came out with the Camaro and they gave it a V8, they gave it a stick, and they gave it the weakest, crappiest rear end that you could. But yeah, dude, 120s on that thing. That's pretty,
it was an impressive car. It was fun. Like we went straight from drag. It's kind of a funny story. We went straight from Drag Week, and when we were leaving, I said, "Hey, Streetcar Takeover is going on in St. Louis. Like, if we haul ass, we can make it back home and run the 10.0 class." Because that time I didn't have the car certified to go faster than 999. So that whole week I ran 10.0s, and I got pretty good. A whole week of running 10.0s, you get pretty good at running that number. So we drove all the way back to St. Louis that day, ran the 10.0 class, and won the class.
Nice.
So it was pretty cool to complete a drag week and win a class that same day.
Hell yeah.
So it was cool. It's kind of a cool story.
And 2016 was, of course, the year of the Crispy Camino.
Yep.
So that's a good little look there.
That was actually the first time I met him. So where he's parked right there is at a bank right outside of Lucas Oil Speedway in Indianapolis. So we're like right behind him, parked up against the building, camping. And he rolls in on a flatbed, and we're looking it over, and he's like, "All right, we can tear this apart. We can get this going.
I can make this work." Yeah. All right, dude.
That was cool.
Good luck. Yeah, and Jeff Oppenheim, if you guys don't know, he won the Spirit of Drag Week in 2016 because of that. Yep. Caught the car on a fire. He had no idea. He's deaf. He's actually just got a cochlear implant, so he can actually finally hear some stuff. But stopped it in front of some dude's house, got his hose from his house and put it out.
Yep.
And brought it up to Lucas Oil on a flatbed. And with the plan of, I need to make this car run and drive and move. So
it was cool.
The Crispy Camino.
It is funny because that picture is all over, and it's funny. It's just funny. We're right behind it, camping.
Right. Yeah. Just chilling. Like, whatever. No big deal.
Yeah. That's
What?
that was probably.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying that was probably the most sketchy camping we did that night. That area
Yeah.
is not great outside of Indy, so.
No, it's not. No, sir. But I mean, he was not stopping, so there was always
Exactly.
something happening next to you, so no big deal.
Yeah.
What brought around the shop car? When did you when you were like, all right, here's the Fox Mustang, let's put one of our wicked cage kits in it, and like let's go drag and drive this bullshit.
I think it was like 2020, 2019-ish time zone. I found the car down in southern Missouri. It had been passed around a couple guys, and it's funny because I looked at the title when I bought it and I knew the guy that owned it 5 owners before him. It had never changed. It had never changed the title. It was just his name on it. So it's kind of funny because I knew exactly what car it was. So no, we picked it up and it was going to be a budget build. Once again, the snowball began.
As it does.
Yeah, so it got cut up. It's basically just a roof quarters stock firewall car, and we put that's kind of our first rendition of the 25.2 welded chassis. I think we got the shell down to like 150 pounds. The chassis weighed 150 pounds.
Wow.
In race trim, it weighs like 2650. So it's a pretty light car. There's definitely some weight to be taken. It still has like, chromoly 4-link bars. There's still some titanium stuff to go, but we got it running, I think a year later, maybe 2 years later. I don't remember. Marissa might know, but
it's 2600 drag and drive ready.
So the hard part with the drag and drive stuff is we've always ran the 26.85 tire. Other than Rocky Mountain RaceWeek, we ran that 1 quarter mile. So it's always been a little heavier because the rear bias that we run on a 26. So I think we could probably be 2700-ish drag and drive.
Hell yeah.
Obviously, we'll know shortly. The motor just got done today, went on the dyno. So we should have it by the end of the week. And yeah.
I saw that. Kuntz giving you a hand with,
with
the motor program in that car.
Yep.
And it made like 700 NA.
Yeah, it was 697.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty stout, and it's still a 380. I guess it's a 389 now. But yeah, it's a pretty stout motor NA. It
was a 388. Would have started as a 388, and got a little extra more.
Yeah, I went 10 over on the bores just to clean them up. Yep. So made it a 389.
Yeah. But hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. That'll be fun. We teamed up with Precision to get us a 98 next gen, so that'll be cool. We had, obviously we know Precision now that we worked with Brett, so that's kind of the the network goes. So
totally, yeah, that's what it's all about.
Exactly. So no, they've been awesome. Also, we've tried to work with people that they want to work with us and they're just helpful individuals. It's kind of the big thing that this industry it's kind of cutthroat sometimes. So it's cool to work with it's cool to work with like-minded people. So that's kind of what we're aiming towards. Like Aaron down at Kuntz has been great, like the best engine experience I've had. So it's cool.
And how quick has the shop car been on a little tire, and how quick's it been in the quarter mile so far?
So the 460 is the fastest the car's ever been, actually, is on that 26. Because last year we did some slick tire racing, so we were never really able to get it down any quicker. If it was on a radial, probably went 450 or 440. But we decided to put it on a slick tire because I actually wanted to learn a little bit about the slick tire stuff because I've always done radial. So I kind of forced myself to run that world a little bit. So
running like a 29.5 tire?
It was just a 28 10.5.
28, okay.
Yeah. So we did that last year. So I didn't really get to run it hard with a radial on it. So that's kind of the goal for this year is run Sick Week and then do, some more radial type racing.
And you are doing modified, which is a quarter mile class.
Yes. Yeah. That'll be the biggest change. I think the fastest quarter mile pass was the 460 because it went 768 coasting.
Okay.
So
768 coasting.
Yeah, coasting from the 8th. So
And that's your quickest quarter mile so far as a coasting quarter mile.
Yeah. So
yes.
I think it'll be I think we'll get a 6. 6 and 200 is the goal. So
Nice.
the high achievement goal is a 6 every day. I just don't know if we'll have enough data and testing to get it done. The combo's not changing too much, but it is a 350 rear gear now, so it will change a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, you can't run the RPM. So,
Yeah.
Yes, John, that was also at Pueblo, which I mentioned in the opening. I think they're somewhere in the 5,400 foot real time. No, that was the 480. That was the 490
that was the
you went 460 on Sick Week.
Yeah, last year. Yeah.
So that was down in Florida, but the 490 was at Pueblo. Yes.
Yeah,
and that's a different world. Sick Week and RaceWeeks are not. They're both drag and drives. That's like saying that because an apple and an orange are both round, they're both the same thing.
Yeah.
They're not. They're both drag and drives. They both do their thing, but there is a very stark difference between the two. If you've done both, you can tell the difference. February air in Florida is amazing. It's mine shaft air in the mornings, typically, under sea level type of airs, and you're talking. You might make 2 passes and be out of there by noon and be at your hotel by 4. It's a 70 or 80 or 90 or 100 mile drive. It's not a 400 mile drive. There's
correct. Yeah.
There's a different thing. So a 460 car at Sick Week will run 490 at RaceWeek. That just is what it is.
Yeah, I would say that's probably actually a good comparison. That's probably the difference between that DA and just the temps. I mean, when it ran that number at Pueblo, it was hot. Like that day was hot. Right. I think Marissa was sitting out for me getting the car ready because she was like, I'm way too hot right now. So it was I think it was like over 100 degrees, and so that was a tough pass. That was hard to get to. That was all that car would. That's it. There was no more.
Earn that one there for sure. And that's and that's not to put down Sick Week. I love Sick Week, and I go to Sick Week, and a lot of the guys go to Sick Week. But RaceWeek will not hold records in the guys that are the drag and drive addiction guys or drag and drive repeat guys that are keeping track of those records. Those records will never be on RaceWeek or Rocky Mountain RaceWeek, and that's not what it's built for. It's a different race for a different reason. Sick Week is built strictly for, we want to be the fastest. We want to give people from all over the country a place. Dude, Missouri in January and February is almost as miserable as South Dakota. So if you can go to Florida,
that's the worst part. Yeah, that's the worst part. Is like right now, like everyone down in Florida can just test all winter, and they have great air, great temps. Well, up here it's it's 20 degrees outside.
Their race season just started.
Exactly.
Just started, and it's snowing in South Dakota right now. So, just a little bit different thing. So again, that's not to throw shade on Sick Week. Like I love Sick Week. Just RaceWeek's different. It's long, it's hard, it's hot, it's nasty. It won't be fast. But again, that's the 460 versus the 490. That's probably the difference between. I mean, any 460 car at Sick Week comes to RaceWeek, they're probably going to run 5 flat.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I would say that's probably a good comparison. It's just hard. The long drives are brutal. Like if you want to really test a car, do Rocky Mountain RaceWeek when it's in the mountains, and it's. I mean, that's the real test there. It's hard.
And it's different too. I mean, you come to that high altitude, and I mean, you're running the 8th mile, so it's not a huge deal. But your parachutes don't work as well. A ton of your stuff is not working the way it's supposed to work. Everything is different. So you might have a really, really well sorted out sea level car. Bring that crap to high altitude. It will change your whole world. I promise you. We say up at Denver, and I'm not there anymore, but I spent 44 years of my life there. But sea level is for sissies.
Exactly.
They make you prove it up there, 100%.
Yeah, no, it's a challenge. It's fun.
Hell yeah. And you guys are bringing to Sick Week. You're bringing the rowdy radial class can't just sit on their haunches because
Exactly.
there's another car coming down.
Yeah, so that's my employee Andrew. That was originally, if you guys ever watched our YouTube video, probably man, that's been a while now. We had a 5 for 5, so we were going to try and build this car to go 5s for $5,000, minus the cost of the car. But we are trying to $5,000 worth of parts to go 5s. Well, we were also working on the shop cars, so we just didn't have time to like get it going. So he's like, man, I'll buy that, and started off as like a 6-liter, and naturally aspirated, and he was going to put some nitrous on it, and went like 750s, I think, NA. And then, of course, once again, the snowball began, and it formed and formed and formed. And, some of it might be my peer pressuring, but
right. And so then you get a pro mod.
Exactly. So yeah, now it's I think it's a pretty rowdy. It'll be pretty quick. I think he's been 5 teens with it. So I would like to get him a podium. That would be super cool to have 2 cars back-to-back podiums in rowdy radial.
It'd be badass, dude.
Yeah,
absolutely badass. I'm so glad they brought rowdy radial to Sick Week.
Oh yeah,
that was incepted by Zach Dykage, who I've had on this show. And he was sort of the first, like, second in command at Rocky Mountain RaceWeek, and Matt was like, we need more ideas for classes, and he was like, we need a gangster 8th mile class with no rules. He's like, I'm in. Yeah, let's go. And that's pretty much what that class is. It's a gangster, no rules, run what you brung, home you brung enough, but do it on a 26-850.
Exactly. It's a fun class. I wish it got a little. I mean, it's got actually this year probably got pretty good publicity.
It got some good publicity.
It got good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's still always kind of been the redheaded stepchild class.
Yeah, that's how it's always. Yeah, that's how it's always.
Because all the quarter-mile cars are 190 plus mile an hour cars.
Exactly.
You don't get those burning and a lot of the world doesn't understand 660-foot times.
Exactly.
They get a 7-second quarter-mile car. They don't know how impressive a 4-second 8th mile car is.
Yeah,
on the
correct.
front half of that.
Exactly. That's the kind of why we wanted to go to modified, just to run with the bigger class. Like, obviously you could probably go back and win rowdy radial again, but it's one of those things, like, I think it's the same thing Devin ran into, is like, okay, we could go win this, or we could just step up. And I think it's almost the same thing as Brett running that class at World Cup, was like, he wants to step up to run those bigger guys. So we could go back and run rowdy radial again, but I feel it's kind of our time to do the next step and run modified. I'm not a huge quarter-mile fan, I'll admit that. It's when you got a bucket of bolts that you put together, it's pretty rowdy. It's a lot of extra time after the 8th mile, and we don't get a lot of testing here, obviously, because we don't have a huge quarter-mile area. Now that we have Flying H is a little bit closer to us, but all the test platoons are closed around here, so we're gonna have to go south to test. But it's an 8th mile area. The Midwest is an 8th mile area, so it's kind of why we chose to do rowdy radial at first. But now we want to do quarter mile just to step up our game.
Yeah, Marissa says it's the challenge that you want.
She knows.
I get that.
She knows.
I really get that.
Never ends. And
you've got an orange helmet that says rowdy radial on it. It'd be cool to get an orange helmet that had another class on it.
Correct. I think modified is going to be rowdy this year. It's going to be
modified has been for a long time. For the last handful of years, modified's been a really rowdy class. I mean, you talk like Clark Rosenstengel with an SMX powered 5th gen Camaro in that class. Like if you're going to that class, you're pulling the wick out. You're going to have to run hard every day because that class is full of absolute gangsters.
Oh yeah, that's why we were kind of wanting to get the motor back pretty quick. We need to go and test and at least get the front half figured out. That's my buddy Doug. So it's just we gotta go test, get the front half figured out. Obviously we can run it out the back. That's kind of the easy part of the quarter mile. It's just hammer down and let her eat. But
for the driving part, for the engine part, and everything else, that's a whole different world. Because that's all the RPM. That's where all the mile an hour is running.
Yeah. I am kind of excited though, because we've always had a higher gear for 8th mile, like a 389, which driving that sucks. Like,
right,
it just sucks because you're turning so many RPMs. That's why we had those big tires on in that picture, because you have to run that if you run anything close to a 390 or something. So we have 350s in it now, so we should really be able to cruise.
Yeah, you don't have to do any of that mudding action.
Exactly. Yeah. People laugh at that, but that works so well. I mean, we were cruising 70 last year, and it was great.
A ton of people have gone that route, and use a big truck tire, and they're tough as nails. A lot of some guy was asking, like, you can't hear that tire in the car. Like, dude, it's a race car. No, there's a million other things. The tire is the least of my worries.
Yeah, ever. And we had to run I think like 12 pounds of air in that thing, even to get a decent contact patch, because it would with 40 pounds of air in it, it's a rough ride.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a bicycle tire. You're talking, it's meant for a 5,000 pound truck, and you put it underneath a 2,600 pound Fox body.
Yeah. So I don't know which tire I have a set of 28s that we ran at that one picture you posted of us driving the first Rocky Mountain Race Week. I don't know if we're going to run that or the bigger tires. Mark wants to run the bigger tires just to keep the RPMs down, but those tires just look cool.
I think they both look cool. I like both. I don't think you can go wrong with either. I'm a fan of that, of the kind of mud tire tucked in action, but like that also looks like it should actually exist on that car. Exactly, this doesn't, and that's why I love it. But that one looks, if you saw that car driving down the road, you'd be like, yeah, that's a pretty sweet car.
Dude,
this one, you're like, that guy, what's up with him?
Yeah.
Did he eat paint chips or what?
Yeah. That picture you put, the other one of the normal tires.
Yeah.
It's funny to see the progression of each drag and drive, like what we bring on the trailer. Like, we have nothing on top of the trailer anymore. We learned that was not a good idea. The ratchet strap sucked. I don't even think we carry a front spare now. Like, it's just funny how things, like, every time you do a drag and drive, you learn so much more for the next time. Like, it's just wild.
It really is. And that really comes to fruition in a lot of the packing, because you always overpack. Because you're like, I never need any of this stuff. And then the second that you have a problem, you're like, oh my God, that thing that was on the roof, that deal in the back, that was the oh shit box, and I could fix my car with that. Like, because I had spare cylinder heads in that, but I don't now I don't carry cylinder heads. And
exactly, that's a real challenge is packing. Like, you got to really think about what you're bringing, and that's what I'm telling Andrew now. Like, you better start thinking about what you're going to pack, because he's actually borrowing Doug's trailer, and it's a little bit smaller than mine, so you gotta pack light and think about what you're taking.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and you don't want your trailer to be a 7,000 pound brick either.
Yeah, exactly. I think when we did that Rocky Mountain Race Week, we rolled across some agricultural scales. There was scales on the side. We had just pulled off to let the car cool down, and these guys came out. He's like, "Do you want to scale this thing?" And it's actually on one of 1320's videos.
Nice.
I'd have to go back and find it, but I think the total weight was something ridiculous. Like, it was like 46 or Mark might know, but it was in the 4,000 pound range. So the trailer was we overpacked by a lot. So there you go. 4,400 pounds, and the car weighs 2,800. So think about
26 and change or whatever. Yeah. So do the math exactly.
Yeah. So it was insane. It was just way too much shit. It was just too much. So we've really narrowed it down to what we bring, and obviously we have to have a scooter now, because everyone's got a scooter, and
you got to get around quick. That's part of the deal.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
You got to turn in your slip, man. That's the way.
Yep.
Talk to us real quick about your involvement with Bone Terror. your local racetrack. I know you kind of put a little bit of stuff together with them, and talk to us about the track. Talk to us about those dudes and what you got coming up. What you did this last year and what you got coming this year.
Yeah, so it's probably an hour and a half from us south of here. Just a small 8-mile track. Where they had a kind of a program before. It was like they just call it Saturday Night Street Race. So that was just the basic. You could run any tire. I think it was like $100 buy-in. So they ran that and then kind of transitioned to like the no prep type stuff. So that's kind of where we got involved with that. This area it's interesting because it's almost like no prep is slowing down a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see what goes on next year around here because it's transitioning more back into the prep type stuff. It's been an interesting like probably 2 or 3 year gap of it's just interesting to see it because it's been quick. It's like everyone went to no prep and then now it's just going back into prep stuff. So it'll be interesting.
Now everyone wants to go as fast as they can go.
Yeah, it's definitely been. I mean, it's the same thing with us. Like we put on slicks for a year and we're like, okay, well that was fun, but I want to go fast and go as fast as we possibly can. So the slick tire stuff's fun, but it'll wear you out because it's a lot of changes very quickly.
Yeah. And if you're a stick car and a slick car,
it's even harder.
Hey,
yeah,
that's me.
Exactly.
Hey, I'm
even harder.
Which is why I don't turn on very many wind lights. It's okay. We won't talk about that.
Exactly.
We won't talk about
that's
that.
Cool. Yeah. So I'm hoping this area will, get some more races. We got like Worldwide Technology, which used to be Gateway. So everyone around here still calls it Gateway, but they have a radial series coming up this next year. And so I'm hoping this area gets racing a little bit more back. It's kind of slacked off the last couple of years. So trying to regather it up.
Yeah, hell yeah. And it's cool. You guys are kind of putting your world together in with that too. Cause you've seen Doug with Motion and those cats kind of do that as well. Like as you kind of gain success, you pour your success out into the community. And I think that's worth mentioning because you don't need to do stuff like that, but you help out a local track, you help out some local racers, you put your name out there, but like your return on investment on that type of stuff is like got to be near zero.
Exactly.
But it's still cool seeing that happen because it's important. It really is.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's like Doug helping us when we were, back in the old shop is like, he didn't have to, he knew us from 2016, we kind of stayed in touch, but he didn't have to bring us, anything, so helping us out, bringing us a car and, getting us, in the loop kind of has been super cool. So, and taking care of them on building stuff.
Sponsorships next year.
There you go.
What Taylor says.
We have been talking about it.
Hell yes. So, hell yes. But like I said, like that stuff doesn't get like, a lot of folks are putting their resources and their money into a lot of local tracks, and they're not doing it for the notoriety or the recognition. They're doing it because they like the track and they like what they're standing for and stuff. And I like to just remind people that there are people that are doing that, and it's it does mean something. It really does. And like it may pay off at that local track, but a dude somewhere somehow is like, that's super awesome that he does that. And I've got a choice in where I can get my 850 cage from or my 750 cage from. And think that in the back of your head, like the people that are pouring money and effort and time into the sport are people you need to be paying attention to. It just,
what it is. Agree. Oh yeah. 100%.
So, we're over that 1 hour, that fancy 1 hour mark. It goes quick. Perfect. I told you it would. It was just,
it is quick.
Clicking. We're making it happen. When time flies when you're having fun. So,
exactly.
I'm going to start getting into my questions. If you have questions for Matt here on the That's Cool Drink show, throw them up here in the comments, and we will throw them up there and get those answered as well. But I'm going to kick it off with, what is your best memory from a drag and drive?
Ooh, man, I think the first drag and drive I did, I think that whole experience, that's something that I don't know if I'll ever get that feeling again. because it's not being, maybe it is being naive. It's the, you know what you know, and that's it. Like now it's, you're thinking of like, okay, I want to finish, but I want to win. Like, you're not just there just to finish. You're there to place, and you have, and obviously we have sponsors that like help us out. So, there's kind of responsibilities to do well. Like they're putting their money into you, and you have to do well. So I think that's probably one of those like core memories is that event. That just on the road, we didn't have hotels, we were just sleeping in hammocks, and we didn't care where we finished. We just wanted to finish. Didn't know anything about it other than we wanted to do drag week, and that was it. And I think I don't know if I'll ever top that one again.
I think that's a good one. Good, like mine's kind of the same. I went in 14. With Brad, who did a ton of my co-pilot stuff, but we didn't know what the hell we were doing. We had no idea what we were in for. We just wanted to finish, really, and we did, and it was great, and it was that first one, that core.
It's exactly.
That's when you know your life is over.
It's all
like,
downhill.
We're about to be poor, and this is all we're going to do from here forward.
Yeah, because I mean, after that, I only did that one in 2016, and then it wasn't until 2020 that we did, or 2021 that we did the next one. So there's a big gap of like I didn't really race at all during that time. So there's a big gap, and so that was kind of the defining, like that was that time when it was just cool. Is you don't know anything. You're putting a car together. You read it on a forum, and you're hoping it works, and it survived the whole week, and so it was cool.
And here we are.
Exactly.
Tell me about the one that got away. What car did you sell that you shouldn't have sold? And here's a picture of you looking for it.
Oh man, I don't have any. I have every vehicle that I've had. So I've never, I guess it doesn't really make sense, but I've never sold a vehicle other than that red Camaro.
So you don't own the red Camaro anymore.
I still have the truck I drove in high school. I still have the next vehicle, and then the truck I drive now. So I've really only had 3 daily drivers since high school.
Okay.
And then that red Camaro I actually sold to James Short to fund the motor that's in the shop car now.
Okay.
So that's kind of
you don't even really regret that. Like, it sucks that it's gone. I'm sure a little bit, but like it led to where you are now.
Correct. Like it allowed that program to get a little further, but it was an 850 on plates. So it was, obviously now we have the core kit, so we could have upgraded it, but it was 850 on plates. I wanted to go further. So it has history with me, but it's not one of the vehicles I'd be like, it's the one that got away,
I have to have that back.
Yeah, it's a cool car, and it has a special place, but I don't know if it would replace like the shop car. That's, and even the shop car, like, it has sentimental value now that it was kind of the first car we built, but I would like to build another one eventually.
I was going to say it's kind of been on and off for sale here and there too. And
yeah, it's kind of, it would be, I would just build another one,
Yeah, if something you could have the shop car. Like
exactly. See, Mark knows it's not as fast, so it's got to be the next fastest.
Exactly. Like now that you built the Snot Rocket, you could build the Snot Rocket again.
Exactly, and it's a tool. Like that's the best way Brett puts it, is each car is a tool. I don't have like sentimental value to that car. It's just, it gets me fast, and that's about it.
And that's what's important.
Yeah. Hell
yes. Getting through my questions again. If you got any more in the comments, throw them up there. We will get them answered for you. I think we talked a little bit about it, but on a drag and drive, are you a
Sorry, say it again. You broke up.
Sorry. We just got internet up here. We got crank power and internet.
Gotta go fire the generator up.
Yeah, Stevie must have fallen asleep on the treadmill that keeps the internet running. We covered it a little bit, but on a drag and drive, are you a trailer dude or no trailer? Trailer or no trailer?
Oh, trailer, 100%. I don't overpack, but I definitely try and bring everything I need. Like, and especially the important stuff like motor, trans. that's
like your car. So here's the trunk of your car. I mean,
yep. Yeah.
you can't even fit
You're
your
pulling up
bags in that.
You're pulling up all the old pictures. It's funny just looking at the changes we made on the car itself. Like when you bring up those pictures, I don't see them very often. I'm like, man, we changed that. We changed that.
Right.
It's just funny. But yeah.
I mean, this is at one point, this was an iteration of that car, and you can't put anything anywhere. There's no way.
Yeah. Oh no, that's the thing with chassis cars is from firewall back, it's tube. There's no trunk. There's no nothing. If you have an 850 cage, you still have the trunk, you still have the back seat. Well, we have like one spot to put a small backpack, and then that's it. So like snacks get tucked under the seat, like in front of the number one bar under the seat. There's a little pocket that we put like a hoodie if it's cold, or like just a couple snacks, one water bottle, and like that's about it.
Hell yes. Yeah, that's totally, like, again, a chassis car. Like you see some of these dudes doing that. Doug Klein did Rocky Mountain Race Week and Drag Week with all his stuff strapped to the wheelie bars of his car.
Yeah.
I mean,
which is wild. Yeah.
Totally wild, dude.
Yeah.
Doug wants to know if it's going to get a big block or a billet block next.
Man, that's a tough one. So I've thought about that, and if it were to get a big block, it's getting front halved. So it still has stock firewall, stock suspension in the front, so it still uses a Racecraft K member, which would kind of suck because it would take you out of those front stock suspension rules.
Right.
But a strut front end would open up so much more room for a big block and do turbos back by the firewall.
Right.
So that's probably what a big block would be. And then if I didn't want to do all that and want to keep the stock suspension, it'd probably be a billet, like a Noonan water filled block, something like that, just to be a little bit stronger. It's a cast iron dart block right now, so it's a little heavy, a little nose heavy, which I would love to get that weight out, but billet blocks aren't cheap, so
no, yeah, exactly. They don't just give those things away, but
yeah.
Taylor is hitting up one of my last questions, but we're going to go ahead and get it up now. But my question is not necessarily Andrew, but what advice do you have for a newbie? I'm talking like a dude, your 2016 kind of world. Like you have this car.
Yeah.
And you're getting ready to do your first drag and drive. Like what advice do you have to a dude getting ready to do their very first one?
Oh, man, that's tough, but it'd probably be just drive the car. Like I'm notoriously bad about throwing the car in the trailer and not test driving it. The first Rocky Mountain Race Week me and Mark did, we didn't drive the car, and like it maybe went down the street and got loaded in the trailer, and that was it. Like we went, it's kind of a funny story. We went to Byron to get my license passes, and it blew up on the 5th of the 6th pass. So motor scattered at the top of the track. So it was like 2 weeks before Rocky Mountain Race Week, the first one we ever did. So there was no time to do any street driving. We just tossed it in the trailer, new motor, everything. We pulled up Rocky Mountain Race Week, backed out of the trailer, went to turn it over, and it just locks up. And I'm like, oh, this is not a good way. We're in, I think it was, I forget what track, middle of Kansas, basically.
Right.
And we were like, oh man, what do we do? So found out one of the injectors had leaked and filled the cylinder. So we pulled all the plugs. Luckily it didn't, it was just a stock starter, so it wasn't too strong, and we were able to crank it over and clean it out. So I'm really bad about throwing it in the trailer, but I would say test it. And that's one thing Andrew's been pretty good about, is testing the driving, because that's so important. Just surviving the week is so important.
And it totally is. Like, I mean, a lot of people can pull their car out of the trailer and drag race all weekend and have nary a problem. And then if you make it 5 miles down the road, the thing's junk. They're driving.
I think that's why the attrition rate of dragon race is so high in the first 30 miles of the track, because you have people that don't drive it, and then they end up on the side of the road because they just don't know, like you did.
Right.
You just don't know. Like,
I broke 8 valve springs and I only brought one or two.
Yeah, and just I would just say, just think about the car too. Like, think about the gearing, think about that stuff. Just think about it all and make sure it makes sense. You're not putting 411s in it, and then you're going to go out and try and cruise 70. It's probably not going to happen.
Right.
So that's my biggest one.
Your lovely wife wants to know if you could build another car for yourself, what car would it be?
Probably be a C7 or a S650. One of those.
No
two.
kidding.
So, yeah.
No
So
kidding.
I like or an S550, one an S550 or S650. The S197 doesn't have the curves over the rear wheel wells as the like the S650. They have a more curved ass on them, I guess you call it.
Yeah, totally.
So the downforce on the back of that car, I feel, is better than like an S197 or something like that. So that'd probably be that, or a C7 would be really cool, but the composite parts for those are really expensive.
Right.
So it'd be one of those deals of figuring out, what would be more cost effective.
Yeah. Affording it is part of it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Brooks really likes C7s. I think that's what that means. I think that's a smiley face.
Yeah, I think you could get one of those cars really light if you just did a chassis that, just a roof and quarter, because they're already a composite body. So
right.
Really light.
I dig on that. Yeah, Brooks is a big C7 guy. He loves them right there. The one I give you a heads up on. Yep. What drag and drive car would you like to drive? And if it's not the same car, which drag and drive car would you like to own?
So I know I talked about it a little bit. I think having a car that isn't as fast. I don't know if I have a specific car, just something that's like even like the Motion OBS truck. Like that would be fun. Like something that's not so much work, because as you know, like we pull up to the track, and some people might not know this. It takes a while to get like a car like ours to swap over into a race mode. Like we've tried to speed it up a little bit. We're doing a third set of injectors inside the rail. Man, it'd be perfect. We'll just trade. Yeah, he can deal with all those problems. But we put a third set. Yeah, we put a third set of fuel injectors inside the intake, so that way we can just change injector plugs and make it a little bit quicker than swapping fuel lines around. So, but it's an hour and a half we get to the track, hour and a half. When we leave the track, hour and a half. So it wears on you. I think that's the hardest part of the drag and drive with something faster, is that time that you're sitting, swapping the car over. So it's hard.
And especially drag week, sick week, the ones that don't have a drive day.
Exactly.
The one that gets you, it's not necessarily the one in the morning. It's the one in the afternoon after you've been thrashing on the car all day. Then you've got to thrash the car back and then put it on the road.
Exactly. And that's
when you're talking about doing that day after day after day after day, day 4 of putting that car back together.
Oh yeah.
To get on the road, you pretty much want nothing more except just to put it in your trailer and go home.
Yeah. Luckily you get really good at it, so you can do it in a little less time. But I mean, if you have problems, that time exponentially goes up. Even just getting in the car to get strapped in to go is a pain. Like getting headsets on, getting strapped in. Like, I mean, it's probably 10 minutes every time you stop at a gas station just to get unbuckled, buckle back in.
Right.
So something slower. That would be fun. Something just to kind of enjoy the week, run, 10, 11s, maybe 9s, but just something slower.
Yeah. Easy, no drama, like not even, maybe even change tires. Just go and enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause sometimes you miss the fun of it because it's so labor intensive and it's hard.
Yeah. And Michael Narks from Drag Drive Repeat, who's on his way to PRI, says day 3's hardest on the cars, day 4 hardest on the people.
Yeah, for real. So, I mean, especially if you're getting like 3-4 hours of sleep a night. I mean, it wears on you. And Motion, which I assume is Prika. Nope, that's
as well as Sheldon Root.
Yep.
They want to know if you're going to be on a 275 or a 315.
Probably a 275. I don't have a tire for a 315. I would like, or I
Okay.
don't have a wheel for a 315. I'd like to stretch it out a little bit if it is on 315, but it'd probably just be on a 275 for now. We don't have a lot of time to do testing.
Right.
So probably 275 it will be
And
on.
shout out to Sheldon. He's a typical rowdy radial sick week type guy, and he's a Canadian dude with an Acadia. So yeah, shout out to Sheldon.
I want to know what Sheldon's running.
Yeah, what are you?
Yeah.
Are you bringing
Let's get
a
it.
quarter-mile car, or are you going to stay in rowdy, Sheldon?
Because it's
that's
gonna,
a good question for you.
Because those are that's two of the top there.
Yeah, exactly.
See, Marissa, she had the easiest week because we had no problems that entire week. I won rowdy radial last year or the year before. I told her, I was like, you had it easy. That was the easy.
Yeah, exactly.
we had no problems.
Thrash on this stuff. We didn't do any of this kind of garbage.
There you go. That's
none of
that
week. Sort of stuff.
That block is actually sitting in our shop as a table in the front entrance.
Hell yes. The one that you made soup in the Motion RaceWorks diaper.
Exactly. Yep.
Hell yes. And I think I'm down to my last question. We'll wait for Sheldon to he's doing Pro Street or Modified. So he's also going to do a quarter mile with the Acadian.
You should do Modified. All the heavy hitters need to be
everyone come to Modified and just screw it. Let's move all the rowdy radial hitters into Modified and let's quarter mile race all of you cats.
Who else is running Modified? I think Devin is running Modified.
I don't even know. Doug Cook probably is.
Yeah. It's going to be stacked.
I would guess Jim Braun's probably in Modified.
Yeah. I don't know if he'll pilot with Brett, though.
He might. Yeah. Who knows? We'll see. We're going to see here in just a few weeks.
I know. It'll be pretty. I'm hoping it's pretty stacked class. Like, as much as I want to win, it's cool to have a class that, there's a pretty close running.
And if you win that class when you're duking it out with gangsters,
exactly,
it makes it worth that much more.
Yeah.
So, yeah. What tire do you consider for Pro Street? I think that would be
that's a question for I think that's
for Sheldon.
For Sheldon, yeah,
totally. My last question for you, Matt, and if you want to throw one up here to get answered here for Matt, you're running out of time. We are getting down to the nitty gritty here, but my last question for you is, what's your favorite racetrack?
Ooh, man, that's tough. I don't really have a favorite. I really anything in Florida where you can race during the winter that's top of the list for me. But as far as nicest facilities, the new Flying H track out in Kansas City is killer. It's a super smooth racetrack. It's set up
nice.
It's built by a racer, so even the turnoff at the top of the track is a big loop. You don't have people stacking up on top of each other. It kind of swoops up towards the end, so it's not just flat. It's just a cool track. It's laid out well. But I would say any track down south where we can race all year.
Yeah, exactly. It's just so nice. Like we started this thing off with. You're in 20 degrees. It's snowing out where I'm at, and we're talking about racing in 2 weeks or 3 weeks or a month or something like that. And
crazy.
Yeah, dude, and doing some sick week stuff. So it's gonna be sweet. So
yeah.
Well, dude, this has been so much fun. Absolutely. Here, wait, hold on. Chromoly or Dokal?
Ooh, I haven't actually welded Dokal. It's not that it's hard to get, but there's only one supplier is AED in Indianapolis, and getting it from them, it's kind of tough. And we run a lot. I think, this Black Friday, we've had 60 sticks of 1 5/8 come into the shop every week. Wow. So that tells you how much chromoly we're going through. It's a lot. So it's kind of hard to just get Dokal in there because we have so much coming through the shop that it would just be another supply line.
Sticks are 21 feet. So
that's a lot.
Yeah, you can do the math. You guys are killing it, dude. Good job.
Oh yeah, we've been cranking through some material.
Hell yes. Well, dude, I'm done. This is great. We're just under an hour and a half. This has been so much fun. You've been a blast out here. You've answered a ton of good questions and got to pick your brain a little bit and kind of see what makes you tick a little bit. And had no idea that you were still only about 21 years old. So good for you. That's pretty damn awesome to have you at 17 out here, just kind of running the game with the chassis world. And, I mean, eventually you'll be 20 and, we'll just see what happens. Like as you move forward and make changes and do stuff and make moves, dude. It's pretty awesome. Pretty awesome.
Yep. No, I appreciate it. It's been fun.
Hell yeah, dude. Where will we see you next? And again, what's your goals?
You see me at PRI. So we're leaving Thursday morning. So we'll be there, probably be there 11 o'clock or so. So we'll be walking around. So come find us. We'll probably be out at the, getting something to eat in bars later. So be pretty fun. Bringing Mark, Andrew. We actually have another Andrew at the shop. He runs all of our cage kits. So he'll be going with us. So be a pretty good group. And of course, Mark. I think I said Mark, but yeah. We'll all be there.
Nice. We'll be there. We're getting there really late on Thursday, so we're going to start Friday doing our thing. So, holy crap. You've run through 10,000 feet of engine 5 tubing since September 1st.
Yeah, see, there you go. Taylor's got the numbers. It's been wild. We've
that's nearly 2 miles of tube.
Yeah, it's been. When I say it's been a lot, we've been very busy this year. This whole year has been crazy.
Good for you guys, dude.
Yeah,
good for you guys.
That's cool.
Awesome. That is cool. Drink.
Yeah.
Hey. Awesome. I'm going to throw you in the background. I'm going to say goodbye to these folks, and then I will say goodbye to you before we leave off.
Perfect. Sounds good.
Thank you again so much. This was super cool.
Yep. I appreciate it.
Oh, real quick, pimp the website for More Race Chassis and what you got coming up there.
Yeah. So if everyone wants to go over to moreracechassis.com, you can check out all of our products. So we have everything from Fox body, like the OBS truck. We have a cage kit for that, the SN95, the S197, S550, the S10s, first and second gen. So we got a pretty good selection of like the core group of drag cars. So like I said earlier in the show, we got 850 to 25.1 in most of them. Some of them we just have 850s. Most of the kits are fully notched now. I think actually all of them. Cool. Taylor might correct me, but all of them are notched. They're still available unnotched if you ask, but most of them are just all notched now. And then we have some products, front and rear suspension products, cup holders for all you drag and drive guys. So we're trying to expand more of the products, but take some time. But if you guys want to go over there, check us out. We'll be
here. You go. We can replicate any tube in your kit.
There you go.
There you go. Replacement. They can send you an exact replica.
There you go.
And they are all available.
Yeah. So that's kind of our claim to fame. Also, we can also replicate a tube. It's not a one-off thing. So it's pretty cool.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
And you can get stock or four-leg setups. And when I say setups, I mean segtups. Those are special. Those are special to the More Race Chassis world. If you call and you talk to Taylor and you want the segtup, they will give you 10% off if you mention That's Cool Drink.
There you go. Yep. Yeah, so Taylor's giving us all the plugs there, but so if you guys want to check us out, we'll be at Sick Week. You might catch us down south somewhere testing. I'm not too sure yet. I might actually deliver a 25.5 core kit to El Toro down at TBM Brakes during that time. So we got to see how all that works together, but we'll be there.
Hell yeah. I love it. And Fairmont kits are coming very soon.
There you go. We got a lot. I've been working on some designs recently, so that's kind of why I've been spending more time in the office getting more CAD stuff done.
You got to do the thing.
Yeah.
Well, sweet dude, I'm going to throw you in the background. Again, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Heck yes. Guys, so cool. Matt Moore, thank you so much for carving out some time. I know you're so busy. He's got a family, he's got babies, he's got a race chassis company that's selling 2 miles of pipe in 3 months. Yeah, dude, super cool for him to be able to carve a little bit of time out. And it's 9:30 there, so I'm sure he's well into his bedtime. We're getting into my bedtime as well. But guys, this was super duper awesome. Matt Moore for episode 59. Next week, I have the dude that created X275, the guy behind the Radial Tire Racing Association, tons and tons of tech tips and whatnot from this guy. And he's an NHRA Tech gold level dude. And he was the race director and will be the race director at the entire winter series down at Bradenton. I have Mr. John Sears on next week. So if you have any questions about tech type stuff, X275 type stuff, anything like that, make sure that you tune in next week for episode 60, right after PRI. But that said, guys, episode 59 with Matt Moore tonight. Amazing show. You guys so much for tuning in, and we are done. See you next week.